Let's give ChatGPT's new image model the same 5 tests that I gave Google's Nano Pro when it first came out and see how it does. So this is the first test, and I created this network diagram in a whiteboard program. And this is basically 3 PCs, 3 computers, and they are connected into a single switch. And that switch is connected to a single router, and that router goes out to the internet. It's a pretty basic network diagram. The idea here is to give it to the model, see if it can analyze this picture, and then convert it into something a little bit cleaner. The prompt that I use was turn this into a network diagram suitable to present in a corporate setting. And this is what it came up with. Again, it's a simple diagram, but I think the model did a really good job. These are now PCs. They were diamonds before. That is a passable switch. That's a passable router. The internet's the internet. Yeah, I mean, I think it did a good job. Again, simple diagram, but I think it did well. Okay, the second test was, okay, so I started with a Google Sheet, and then on top of the Google Sheet, I put this Gantt chart template. And what happened with previous models before Nano Pro, before this new ChatGPT image model, I tried a similar test, and the models got really confused because it's a Gantt chart on top of a spreadsheet, and if they even recognized a spreadsheet, they didn't recognize it was a Gantt chart, and they just kept doing spreadsheet stuff, and they got really confused with a combination of Gantt chart on top of spreadsheet. So to the human eye, it's just like, oh yeah, obviously it's a Gantt chart, but this has been a challenge for previous models. Nano Pro was fine with it, but let's see how ChatGPT did. And the prompt was just to analyze the attached spreadsheet. And I'm not going to read through everything because there's actually a lot in here, but it also, like Nano Pro, it did a really good job. It recognized the different sections, it separated them out, and here, top section, project title, project manager, company name, etc. It laid out all the different sections and what they were actually for. Task grouping, different phases, time granularity, taskbar, etc., etc., etc. I mean, it went through, again, all the sections, and then, as per norm, it had, like, here, let me do all these next steps. But it didn't have any issue with a Gantt chart on top of a spreadsheet. So the implications here are like this. Yeah, this is mostly blank. But if you have a Gantt chart that's completely filled out, or a spreadsheet that's completely filled out with whatever kind of data, you can have it analyze that data and give you some kind of useful feedback or take some actions based off of that data. The next one was to create an infographic of Maslow's hierarchy of needs that will be used for education. And this is what it came up with. Again, I think this is really good. And previous models, again, before the Nano Bananas and Nano Banana Pros and this image model for ChatGPT, they had a lot of issues putting text on images. Either it wouldn't be aligned properly, they wouldn't be actual words. It had all kinds of problems, different fonts, just different everything. And all the text here looks good. Let me look through. Yeah, I don't see anything with just like random weird characters. It's like these are all actual words. Everything in there makes sense. I like the addition of the different images here because part of the prompt says it's used for education. So just as you're going through this, they have a bunch of things here that you can really just kind of grab onto if you're on like esteem needs and it's, you know, respect and recognition and accomplishment and it has a little trophy, you can just go right to, hey, an accomplishment, like you get a trophy for ... whatever the thing is. So I actually like all the images in there. So again, I think that did a really good job. Okay, this one was interesting. So this is a photo from a flight that we took in Pennsylvania, and this is, I believe, a high school, and this is a football field, and this is a baseball field, and just a bunch of stuff, some houses, some roads, some ponds, I think those are tennis courts, etc. When I gave this to Nano Banana Pro, it didn't do well with it. The prompt here is to annotate recognizable landmark categories on this image. So again, things that I just listed, like the football field, baseball field, etc. And this is what ChatGPT came up with. Now, it's not perfect. So this has a football field, fine, the high school, and high school's here, but I mean, that's close enough. That's the high school parking lot, so I can accept that. This isn't a road, this is a tennis court. It's possible that got confused with that. I feel like that doesn't really look like a road, though. This is definitely not a pond. Those are trees. Like this could be a pond. That's a pond, that's a pond. I accept that as a forest, I accept that as fields. I think if that's a field too, but still it's part of a farm, fine. I don't think this is both a farm and a soccer field. That's kind of a reach. So a couple of these are slightly off. However, it still did the same image. And I think that if I just pointed out like, hey, that's not a pond, and can you put the high school over here? And I think there would be really simple follow-up instructions that would fix this. For Gemini, for Nano Banana Pro, multiple issues happened with this one. One, it would not do the same image. This is clearly the same image that we started with. Nano Banana Pro didn't give me the same image, and then things it annotated were also just all over the place. And then when I did a follow-up prompt pointing out, like, hey, use the same image, please, it gave a different image, a third image, and the annotations were all over the place. So this isn't perfect. I think it's really good, and I think it's easily fixed. I didn't go back and do follow-up prompts on here because this is my free account. I don't actually have the new image model on my paid account because it's a business account and they haven't rolled it out yet. And I didn't know how many images I'd be able to generate before it would just cut me off. So I didn't want to press my luck. But I like how this came out. Again, it wasn't perfect, but I like that one a lot. And the last one, I started with this image, and the prompt was to change the aspect ratio of this image to 9:16, which is a format that's used for like YouTube Shorts, TikTok, etc. And what it came up with was this. And it added everything from about here down, it added to the picture. And I think that's consistent. It's the same look. That I would absolutely believe that that's the same bench, you know, same squirrel. So I mean, really nice character consistency. It expanded it nicely. This is 9:16, so I mean, it followed the instructions. The instructions were simple, but still, again, previous models, they didn't do well with different aspect ratios, especially if you didn't start with that ratio. So it's like for other models, I would have to actually put in a picture that was that same aspect ratio that I wanted. I couldn't ask for something different. This actually changed it really well. I think I wanted to do an extra one on here because I did, again, starting with that picture, I asked it to create a worm's eye view of the squirrel starting from the seat of the bench. And this is what it came up with. Worm's eye view, if you don't know what that is, it's basically, it's starting from wherever the worm is, usually on the ground, and then going all the way up. So if you see the pictures where it's just like from the bottoms of the trees all the way up, and you look into the sky and you see all the kind of trees, that's a worm's eye. And this, it's actually doing that with the trees. So you have this here, but the perspective is kind of weird. Like that isn't what it would look like from the bench, from the seat of the bench. So I mean, that's kind of where the squirrel wouldn't be looking down, it would kind of be up the tail. So this didn't really work. I didn't expect it to be fair. It was just like, let's see how it does. So that was a slight fail, but overall, I think the model did really well. I would say that for these 5 tests, it did at least as well as Nano Banana Pro, and overall I think it did better. With the whole annotation one, it blew it out of the water with Nano Banana, but all the other ones were just as good as Nano Banana. So I mean, I think that this is a legitimate image model, and like I've added it into my workflows with Nano Banana and Nano Banana Pro, and I recommend you take a look at it and see what you think, and I'll see you next time.